Good morning, Impression Hall. We're coming to you this Wednesday on the 5th day of November, bringing you Morning Matters because your morning's matters get to the stories that matter today. At least 52 people are dead and dozens remain missing after Typhoon Tino struck the Visayas. The typhoon hit yesterday, displacing hundreds of thousands with widespread flooding and strong winds. A Philippine Air Force helicopter en route to Butuan City crashed in Loreto, Agusan del Sur, killing all passengers aboard. The aircraft was on a disaster response mission to assist areas affected by Typhoon Tino. And an ombudsman investigation is being sought by the Independent Commission for Infrastructure into former DPWH officials over an alleged ghost flood control project in Bulacan. The group named former Secretary Manuel Bonoan and former Undersecretaries Roberto Bernardo and Maria Catalina Cabral. Welcome to our program, Morning Matters, where we talk about the issues you need to know for the rest of your day. Now, first on the agenda. At least 52 people are reported dead. That's due to Typhoon Tino. According to the NDRRMC, most of the fatalities are from Central Visayas. 10 people were injured, while 13 individuals are still missing. The figures, though, are still up for validation. Over 700,000 people were affected by the typhoon across 7 regions. Around 100,000 families have transferred to evacuation centers. And now let's get more updates on Typhoon Tino from Office of Civil Defense spokesperson Junie Castillo. Magandang umaga po sa inyo. Junie, nakamute po yata kayo.
Right. Good morning, Gretchen, and good morning to the viewers of Morning Matters.
Okay, can you give us the latest update from the OCD on the overall situation? What is your assessment on the impact of Typhoon Tino, knowing that this barrage through 7 regions?
That's right, Gretchen. No? As of the latest NDRIMC situational report, Typhoon Tino has affected 203,595 families, or that's around 706,000 individuals across multiple regions, no? And then particularly in the Visayas, northern Mindanao, and then Mimaropa also. And a total of 53 cities have so far, and municipalities have so far declared the state of calamity due to the widespread effects of strong winds, heavy rains, and the flooding. Well, the government continues its full-scale response and monitoring operations to ensure the safety and fast recovery of our kababayans.
Dito po sa mga apektado, saan po ang pinaka-malaki ang naging dagok in terms of damage?
Right, Gretchen, no, we're still looking at the Visayas region. Ito yung especially dito sa Cebu. Kasama na rin yung Negros Occidental, no. Typhoon Tino has made multiple landfalls, no. In terms of damages to houses and then also to the casualties, we're looking at Cebu pa din.
And out of the 52 casualties, how many are in Cebu?
Gretchen, no, just this morning, right before we aired Morning Matters, we received additional reports. So that 52, that is now 66.
Wow.
So looking at 66 casualties already. 50 of that are coming from the Central Visayas alone. Doon sa 50, isa doon is coming from Panglao, Bohol, and 49 just in Cebu province.
Wow, okay.
Tumaas na yan, no? Right now, we still have 26 missing individuals. 13 of those are from Cebu. And then yung 13 nawawala pa coming from La Castellana in Negros Occidental.
Ito pong casualties, ano po ito? Karamihan po sa mga ito nalunod?
Yes, karamihan sa mga ito nalunod, no. Meron din mga due to rockfall, and then mga natumbahan din. Some of them are nung mga punong kahoy, but karamihan po nalunod due to the flash flooding.
Okay. Help us understand why the greatest number of casualties are from Cebu province. Yun nga po yung pinag-uusapan po namin kagabi, no. Hindi po natin image pagka Cebu yung medyo mas rural na area. Madalas yung developed cities and yung mga ayos na kalsada. Pero how come they faced so much inundation? At anong parte po ng Cebu province nangyari ito? Gaano kalawak?
Yes. Different parts no of Cebu province have been affected by the flash flooding. Unang-una, some of these areas no, like we're looking at the Villa del Rio subdivision no. This is beside the river. So doon din nagsasalubong yung dagat and then the rivers plus yung malakas na buhos ng ulan. In fact, they experienced more than 200 millimeter of rain, no? Kaya naka-red rainfall warning sila. So those three, no, mataas yung dagat, umapaw yung ilog, mataas yung the heavy rainfall. So dun nanggaling no yung flash flooding. Now in some of these areas, hindi ito yung dating binabaha. No, so in fact we're looking at structures no mga residential houses na mga 2 stories. So normally hindi sila mag-evacuate. No, kasi mataas yung kanilang lugar no. Specifically dito sa Villa del Rio, the retaining wall dahil umapaw yung tubig and then bumigay yung retaining wall. So isa 'yon no. So yung mga nakatira doon katabi ng rivers. So kaya nakikita natin no may mga residente pang nandoon because hindi sila kasama dun sa preemptively evacuation kasi nga oo. That's actually one challenge no of DRRM workers at the local level. We have areas now that have not been flooded before. No, so when we tell them na this might be flooded in these areas, when historically you've not experienced that, you might not heed to the call kasi nga mataas naman kayo. So those sort of challenges at the local
Pero
level.
gaano ka lalim yung naging pagbaha dito? Umabot po ba sa may second floor? And yung mga inabutan po ng second floor, hindi po ba sila, kahit pa paano, ine-expect nila na babahain sila ng malala kasi nga, kaya nga po nag-construct ng additional level?
That's right, no. That's why we were seeing images of our kababayans na nasa bubong, no. Kasi halos umaabot na uh, we were told no that as in some areas parang mga 12 feet, 7 to 12 feet. So
Wow.
halos abot talaga yung buong first floor, no. So yung iba siguro yung medyo mababa, so umabot lumagpas ng ang first floor at inabot yung second floor. So that's why we were seeing images na nandun na sa bubungan. Now, in terms naman of the search and rescue during that time, because of the current, no, mabilis yung agos ng tubig, so hindi agad yun mapuntahan ng ating mga rescuers because we're also looking at the safety no, of our rescuers. So that's why that happened. So nung bumaba na yung tubig, so that's when our search and rescue retrieval teams were able to penetrate the areas.
Oh, it begs the question, hindi po ba naabisuhan ng maaga itong mga casualties po natin? Kasi yung iba nakaakyat po sila ng second floor. I mean, ito po bang 49 ay nakakonsentrate sa isang komunidad? Ano po kaya yung rason kaya hindi po sila nakalikas?
Yeah. With that number, Gretchen, no, these are coming from different municipalities. So magkakaiba yung 49 na yun, no. I'm looking at that list kung anong mga bayan, no. Pero magkakaiba, no. Merong kasing Talisay, merong Liloan, so different areas in Cebu. So ito yung mga nandun kasi nga mataas yung tubig, dagat din at saka yung mga ilog, no. So magkakaiba itong lugar. In terms of the preemptive evacuation no and warnings also coming from the local government as early as over the weekend, the local governments no even the national and the regional offices no agencies have been giving these advisories to our citizens no na meron ngang malakas na pag-ulan at saka malakas na hangin. In fact, in fairness to our local government units no, the preemptively evacuated citizens actually umabot ng halos 800,000 of our kababayans have been preemptively evacuated. Pero again, in some areas, nagkaroon na ng mga forced evacuation.
Resistance.
Yes,
Ay.
even the forced evacuation kasi in some areas may mga ayaw pa ring umalis, no? Even if their barangays have been listed in the DNR MGB issued list of rain-induced flooding and landslide-prone areas. So dun tayo medyo may konting I don't know, nagkulang na hindi
Mm-mm.
na nagawa at the local level, no? Kasi nga some of these residents, maayos naman yung mga bahay at saka may mga matataas pa rin namang mga bahay.
Uh, we saw shocking images of cars on top of each other. Is this the worst flooding in Cebu province's history? Parang in the past, we do know that Cebu province does get hit by typhoons, but I can't remember the last time I saw images of cars floating at yun nga po yung nakastuck po sila. No? So ano pong assessment po ninyo?
That's right, no? Parang ang images na nakikita natin were like Ondoy-like, di ba? Here in
Oho.
Metro Manila, no?
Yes.
That we've never seen in Cebu. As we were told, no, itong mga cars that we were seeing, referring to that same image, no, nakapark daw kasi ito sa loob ng covered court. So parang magkakadikit at magkakasama. And then because of the current of the flash flood, so kaya biglang ano talaga sila. Yeah.
Oo. And then, so it's in one particular area, yung mga lumulutang-lutang po na sasakyan. Saan po yun?
I believe this is in Villa del Rio, no? Ito yung sinasabi ng mga residents na ang bilis ng tubig tumaas in a matter of minutes, no? Kasi nga umapaw yung ilog and then may retaining wall na nagumagsak.
Oho. Tapos yun po yung sinasabi po ninyo na community na malapit sa dagat at saka sa mga river.
Yes, no, but if we look
Oo.
at the geography, no, or the Cebu island, no, so manipis siya na halos karamihan dun sa mga areas na yun ay coastal municipalities also, no, kaya malapit sa dagat, no, din malapit sa mga ilog.
Kahapon po ang aming reporter, si Dale Israel was in Cebu, reporting from Cebu province. Sabi po niya meron pong flood control na project na hindi po natapos dito nga po sa kanilang probinsya that could have contributed to that flooding, to that level of flooding. Nakita niyo rin po ba yun?
That report, no, has also been forwarded to us, no, but in terms of if we have checked which specific flood control project, we haven't done yet, no. Our teams, our DANA teams are concentrated on the assistance that will be given to the needs of our kababayans there. So hindi pa namin nakikita ang detalye at hindi pa namin napapag-usapan yan.
Alright.
in
And
terms of that information.
now, how does the OCD, I mean, at what stage of disaster response are you in? Nasaan po tayo ngayon? At given that another possible typhoon that could be a super typhoon is approaching the Philippine Area of Responsibility, paano po ba naghahanda ang OCD sa ganitong panahon na nasa gitna po tayo ng dalawang delubyo?
Tama, Gretchen, no? This is actually a directive from the president, even in the previous disasters, no, that we've experienced. Two-pronged action. Tuloy-tuloy yung ating pagresponde sa ating mga kababayan, sa pangangailangan ng mga kababayan natin. And at the same time, we're also preparing for an upcoming incident, no? Like for this one, ito po nagsisimula na kahapon pa lang, no, nagsasagawa na ng mga pre-disaster risk assessment and scenario building. This is run here at our NDRRM Operations Center. And as we speak, no, at the Operations Center, ongoing ngayon, this is our NDRMC chairperson, Secretary Gilberto Chudoro, is leading presiding the meeting for both the response and the pre-disaster and scenario building. Kasi ang sinasabi po ng Pag-asa, baka mas malakas itong susunod na typhoon. No? Malakas itong susunod. So we really have to prepare for that. And we're looking at the track na it could be, as of now, no, and unless that changes, the track will be hitting central and northern Luzon. So kailangan talaga maganda tayo. This is Tino is a typhoon category, no? Kaya umabot nung wind signal number 4, no? So kung
Mm-mm.
mas malakas ito, so it could be 4 or higher. So
Mm-mm.
what we're really advocating for is for those areas that are listed on the rain-induced landslide and flooding. Kasi ipinapalabas ito ng DENR-MGB. We really request, no, or yun nga, nagkakaroon ng preemptive and forced evacuation. Kasi that's the only thing we can do. If your areas is part of those barangays that will be inundated, so the only way we can prevent disasters is for us to transfer, no, to higher ground. So ito po yung tinitingnan natin. So dalawang level po, no, ang ginagawa, both response at saka yung paghahanda na natin dun sa susunod.
Oo, buti lang ho na hindi po ito direktang tatama muli dito sa Visayas at saka sa Mindanao. Ano? Pero ano pong banggit ng pag-asa po sa inyo? Malakas din po ba pa rin ang magiging pag-ulan? In Cebu province in particular, how are residents being advised? Are they already told to come back to their homes or sila po ay pananatilihin sa evacuation center?
No, not yet, no. That will be coming from the local governments again, no, and based also on science agencies natin. Pero this is that the scenario at Gretchen, no, na pinag-uusapan ni na Secretary Bo ngayon and then ni
Mm-mm.
Yusek Cabrero sa OCD. Um, we only have a window, no, like, well, now it's Wednesday, so we only have the Thursday,
Thursday, Friday.
Friday, and could be Saturday, no, for the window for the response and the preparations bago dun sa susunod na bagyo. So itong 3 araw talaga, no, wag mo nang babalik, wag mo
Mm,
hangga't wala
okay.
advisory, no. Again, our science-based agencies through the interagency coordinating cell, no, at the national, regional, and local level will be doing the PIDRA also for the upcoming typhoon. So make sure you heed to that call, no, because we only have 3-day window for that, no, both response at saka yung paghahanda. So hindi po ito pwedeng balik na kaagad and then just wait for uh,
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
any warnings or lang, no. So make sure wag muna pong babalik doon sa mas mabababang lugar, no, if you can stay and find the higher grounds where you can stay over the weekend, and especially yung Sunday and Monday and Tuesday natin. So make sure we all do the preparations.
Mm-mm. Are there still missing individuals though in the affected areas by Typhoon Tino?
Right, Gretchen, no. For the missing persons, this is as of the 6 a.m. No, we have 13. This is 13 persons missing in Cebu, at then 13 persons also still missing in La Castellana, Negros Occidental. So Negros Occidental, no, dinaanan lang din ito nung bagyong Tino also. So due to flash flooding also, no, inundation. So itong mga nawawala nating mga kababayan sa La Castellana.
Oo. Kayo naman ho ay may sapat na, no, na personnel. I mean, this is a lot to handle in just a week, no? Help us understand the role of the OCD in the whole disaster chain, and how are the resources of the NDRRMC?
Right. For OCD, no, our main coordination when this happens, no, before, during, and right after, is really to coordinate, no, all of the agencies, the response agencies that are
Okay.
part of the NDRIMC. No, so we have the operations center here at the Camp Aguinaldo, and then we also have offices at the regional level. So all regions, no, we have the OCD regional offices. Then again, at the national, regional, and local level, we have the so-called DRRM councils. So those councils are composed of different government and even private CSO agencies also, no. So we coordinate them, no. In terms naman of the personnel, no. So yun, no, from the national to the regional. Well, of course, it's always a challenge, no? Especially for multiple hazards, multiple disasters that are happening. And as you said nga, no, parang walang pahinga, week in, week out. So this is happening. So we have other agencies also, no, that are helping us dahil nga kasama tayo dun sa response clusters. At the national level, that's about 44, 45 agencies that are a member of that, no? So maririnig niyo lagi kasama yung mga iba't ibang ahensya ng gobyerno, and especially that the president has ordered a whole of government approach, no, to disaster risk reduction and management.
Okay, bilang panghuli po, yung Imminent Disaster Act has been passed. So, ibig sabihin, pwede na po magdeklara ng bago pa dumating yung kalamidad. Ano? How does this change things? Is that already being applied to this,
And
papalapit po na
Yes,
super typhoon?
yes, Gretchen. No, two landmark laws have been passed. No, one is the Ligtas Pinoy Centers Act, and then the other one is the State of Imminent Disaster. Now, for these two recently passed laws, IRRs are being crafted. So, nauna na yung Ligtas Pinoy Centers Act, meron na yon, and then almost nasa finish line na yung IRR nung State of Imminent Disaster. Pero hindi pa, because once the IRR are passed, so or yeah, finalized, no, so dun pa lang siya pwedeng ma-implement. And then there's again, if I may just add, Gretchen, no, there's a one important bill also that we are requesting from the Congress, and this is the Magna Carta for the RRM workers. You've discussed about how if our personal complement, no, is enough, no, not just for OCD but even at the local level, especially, no, the Magna Carta for DRRM workers is really very important, because this is also will take care of the welfare of our DRRM workers at all levels, no, kasi sila talaga yung bugbog na week in, week out ay tuloy-tuloy yung mga pag-respond sa ating mga kababayan.
Okay, noted on that. Can we find that anywhere? I mean, ano po yung kinakailangan ng ating DRRMO workers? Naka-publish naman ho.
Yeah, for this bill, no, several bills have been filed in the
Okay.
Senate and the Congress, no, for the Magna Carta for DRRM workers, and this has been even with the 19 Congress, no, pero hindi lang siya naipasa doon, no, because this is well, one, syempre yung mga hazard pay of our DRRM workers, no, like right now we're looking at itong sa local level, may mga responders ulit tayo na nalagay sa peligro, and I believe may kasama doon sa casualties, no. Our Philippine Air Force also, no, if I can mention that, no, we have personnel from the Philippine Air Force dun sa bumagsak na helicopter, no.
Correct.
So we're giving our sympathies to them, no. The mission was for humanitarian assistance and disaster response. So that's why we really advocate for, no, also taking care of the welfare of our DRRM workers.
Alam na ho ba natin yung dahilan kung bakit po nag-crash po yung helicopter?
That one we don't have yet, no, but we've
Okay.
seen the crash sites, no, pero dun sa eksaktong dahilan po nung pagbagsak, no, is we have to yet get that exact detail from the Philippine Air Force.
All right. Let's hold our breath for the typhoon that is to come. In the meantime, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras, at we hope that you keep it all together. We have OCD spokesperson Junie Castillo talking to us about the OCD's response to Typhoon Tino and the upcoming typhoon. Maraming salamat.
Okay. Maraming salamat, Gretchen.
All passengers aboard the Philippine Air Force helicopter that crashed in Loreto, Agusan del Sur have been confirmed dead. That's according to Eastern Mindanao Command spokesperson Lieutenant Colonel Salvacion Evangelista. The aircraft was on a mission to deliver humanitarian and disaster response assistance to areas affected by Typhoon Tino. It was en route to Butuan City where the incident occurred. Authorities are now investigating the cause of the crash. Still in weather, Typhoon Tino maintains its strength as it continues to threaten northern Palawan. Its center was last spotted over the coastal waters of Linapacan, Palawan. Tino still packs maximum winds of 120 kilometers per hour and gustiness of up to 150 kph. Tino will continue to traverse northern Palawan this morning before emerging over the West Philippine Sea. It may exit the Philippine area of responsibility tonight or tomorrow early morning. Signal number 4 is up over the northernmost portion of Palawan, including Calamian Islands. The northern portion of Palawan, including Cuyo Islands, meanwhile, is under signal number 3. Under signal number 2 are the southern portion of Occidental Mindoro, southern portion of Oriental Mindoro, and the central portion of Palawan, including Cagayan Silio Islands. These areas flashed on your screen are now under signal number 1. Let's get more updates on the weather. Pag-asa weather specialist Grace Castañeda joins us on the line. Magandang umaga po sa inyo.
Magandang umaga din po sa ating lahat.
Okay, dalawa pong binabantayan po natin ngayon, Grace. Pero simulan natin kay Typhoon Tino. Ano po yung most critical hazards that residents in northern Palawan should prepare for? At ano mga areas ang dadaanan po nito ni Typhoon Tino?
So for now po, itong si Bagyong Tino ay nasa coastal waters na ng El Nido, Palawan. So nakalabas na po siya dito sa ating kalupaan, but for now po, yung whole area pa din ng Palawan or ng mostly yung northern Palawan, yung patuloy pa rin pong makakaranas ng mga pinakamalalakas na pag-ulan na dala po ng si Bagyong Tino. Ito po yung mga areas natin na under wind signal 4 and 3, most likely yung northernmost portion ng Palawan, kasama na yung Calamian and Cuyo Islands. And aside po from dito, maging sa area din ng Mindoro provinces and Panay Islands, dyan po yung mga areas na patuloy pa rin makakaranas ng mga malalakas po na hangin and pag-ulan na dala po nito.
Okay, Grace, help us understand. This is being described as carrying about a month's worth of rainfall. Ito ba iinasahan ng pag-asa na ganito kadami yung pag-ulan na dadali ng Tino?
Yes po. During the passage po ni Bagyong Tino, mostly yung mga pag-ulan po natin na pinakamalalakas is nakakoncentrate po dun sa malapit sa sentro. So, in-expect po talaga natin na yung mga pag-ulan po is nandun po sa mga areas na malapit sa dadaanan po ng center track nito. So, kaya po, kung i-refer po din natin yung mga advisories na pinalabas po natin, marami po tayong areas na under red and orange po during the 24-hour duration ng mga pag-ulan dahil in-expect po natin talagang malaki po yung volume ng mga ibabagsak po nito ni Bagyong Tino, and also magdedepend din po yung effect niya dun sa kung gaano po ka-vulnerable yung area po na dadaanan po nito and makakaranas ng mga pag-ulan po na yun.
Ayun na nga yung nakita natin sa Cebu Province. Siguro nakadagdag na rin na yung river at yung dagat nagtagpo doon sa kung saan ang dumaan si Tino. Pero in terms of yung sabi po ng OCD, may mga areas din na dinaanan ito na hindi kadalasan binabaha. May nakikita po ba kayong kakaiba dito sa naging impact ni Typhoon Tino?
In terms po nun sa impact niya, talaga pong kapag po may dumadaan na bagyo, lalo na po yung ganito na talagang tumawid po siya sa ating kalupaan, talaga pong expected natin na talagang may mga malalakas po na pag-ulan and hangin. And yung in terms nga po sa effect nito locally is talagang depende po siya talaga sa area na kung gaano po ka-vulnerable. But then, yung usually, kapag po talaga may bagyo, is normal na meron po itong mga kaakyat na malalakas po talaga na pag-ulan na dudulot po ng mga widespread na flooding.
Okay. So, dito po sa Palawan, dahil lumabas na siya sa El Nido, lumabas na siya sa Kalupaan, meron pa ba tayong risk for storm surge and landslides?
Yes po, for today po dahil bagamat lumabas na po siya sa Kalupaan, hagip pa rin po nung pinakamalalakas na hangin niya yung area ng Palawan. So for today, expected pa rin po natin may high risk pa rin tayo ng storm surge sa area ng Palawan, and may risk pa din po ng landslide dahil malalakas pa din po yung mga pag-ulan natin. Kaya naman for now po, no, for today, yung mga kababayan po natin dun sa areas ng Palawan, Mindoro Provinces and Western Visayas, patuloy pa rin po natin silang pinag-iingat and pagiging alerto pa rin po sa mga kababayan natin dyan.
Okay, ngayon naman puntahan natin ang binabantayan na low pressure area na maaaring maging super typhoon. Ano ho ang pangalan po nito ulit?
Kapag po pumasok na ito sa loob ng PAR, ang name niya po ay Uwan. Ito po ay
Uwan.
Cebuano. Cebuano po siya ng ulan. Yun po yung magiging name niya, Uwan po.
Ito, mas magiging malakas po ito kay Typhoon Tino. Yun po ba ang tingin po ninyo dito?
For now po, no, hindi pa po natin masasabi kung or makakompare with Bagyong Tino. But generally, nakita po natin magiging malakas po ito dahil isa na rin pong factor na malayo pa lamang po ito is isa na po siyang bagyo. So, habang binabaybay niya po itong karagatan, mas marami pa po yung time niya na mag-intensify or makakuha po ng energy. So, most likely po talaga yung intensification. So, hindi natin i-roll out yung possibility na ma-reach niya yung peak intensity ng typhoon or possible pa po mag-super typhoon. Kaya po talagang minomonitor natin din ito.
So sa ngayon, ito po ay isang typhoon na?
At ngayon po, isa pa lamang po itong tropical depression.
Tropical depression, okay. Ano po ang mga dadaanan nito sa Northern Luzon? Ng mga areas?
For now po, hindi pa po natin nakikita kung saan ito exactly tatama. As for ang nakikita po natin ngayon, possible na may landfall scenario tayo sa area po ng Luzon. But since malayo pa nga po ito, pwedeng either yung northern part po ng Luzon or southern part po ng Luzon. But most likely sa area po ng Luzon. So sa mga susunod na araw po, kapag mas naging malapit na po ito, doon po natin mas malalaman kung saan po area dahil ngayon mataas pa po yung uncertainty niya, and bukod din po dito may nakikita din po tayo na scenario na posibleng mag-recurve or mag-pass close lang siya sa eastern seaboard ng Luzon. So sa mga susunod po na araw is mas mag-update pa po tayo ukol po sa magiging track nito, but still paghahanda na rin po para sa ating mga kababayan.
Ano po ang tsansa na yan po ay pumasok sa Visayas region? Alam po natin sila yung tinamaan nitong Typhoon Tino. What percent chance do we have of that happening?
Yes po, ngayon po mababa po yung chance na sa area po siya ulit ng Visayas mag-landfall or yun po yung tawidin niya. So ngayon nakikita po talaga natin na mas magiging mataas po talaga yung track nito unless lumakas po yung amihan po natin na maaaring mag-influence sa track na to. But for now po, less likely yun, and most likely yung nasa northern part siya ng ating bansa or dito nga po sa area ng Luzon.
Kailan po natin aasahan ang Bagyong Uwan dito sa Pilipinas?
By late Friday po or Saturday, papasok na po ito sa loob ng ating area of responsibility. So most likely in the next 3 to 4 days.
And Sunday po yung landfall?
Hindi pa po natin nakikita yung landfall niya mismo, no? But for its landfall po, nakikita natin hindi po sa Sunday, possibly by Monday to Wednesday pa po yung kanyang possible landfall sa atin.
Okay, so mukhang magiging maulan next week.
Yes po, next week po, expect po natin yung first half ng next week, dun po yung ina-expect natin na passage niya dito po sa atin.
Alright, maraming salamat sa iyong weather forecast today. We have Pag-asa weather specialist Grace Castañeda telling us all about Typhoon Tino and Tropical Depression 1. In the meantime, coming up on Morning Matters, as the U.S. government shutdown ties the record for the longest in history, its nationwide impact grows. Let's discuss this with Irene Bueno of the Asian Americans Advancing Justice after a short break. Keep it here. Good morning, I'm Gretchen On here in Morning Matters. We talk about the most pressing issues and give you the context behind the headlines. The U.S. government shutdown has tied the record for the longest in history as bipartisan talks gain momentum, but no deal is in sight. A small group of lawmakers is working on a plan to reopen government, offering Democrats a standalone vote on extending Affordable Care Act subsidies in exchange for moving key agency funding bills. Democrats remain split since that vote is not guaranteed to pass. Senators Susan Collins and John Thune say progress is happening, but both caution the shutdown may continue. A new temporary funding bill is likely needed. The impact is growing nationwide with food banks overwhelmed, federal workers filing for unemployment, and travel delays worsening. Negotiations are expected to stretch beyond Election Day. The shutdown happened as Congress and the White House failed to agree on a budget or temporary funding plan. Let's discuss this further. We have on the show Irene Bueno of the Asian Americans Advancing Justice joining us via Zoom. Good morning. Welcome to Morning Matters.
Hello, and good evening from Washington, D.C. We're happy to be
Irene, before we talk about the government shutdown, I just wanted to ask first about the news we got yesterday. Vice President Dick Cheney dying at the age of 84. He was widely regarded as the most powerful vice president in U.S. history, and you having served in the White House before the Bush-Cheney years. Particularly as a former official in the Clinton administration, being special assistant to the president in the White House Chief of Staff's office. How do you remember Vice President Cheney?
Yeah, I think as many Americans, we probably have some mixed feelings about him and views. I think I served in a Democratic administration under the Clinton administration when President Bush and Vice President Cheney took over. We obviously are Americans and support the president, but we did have some concerns about that administration and the direction they took. So I think during that time, we did have some mixed feelings about Vice President Cheney and knew how strong he was. But I think that what we saw is, he was really a man of integrity and really cared about this country and changed his views or softened, at least from my perspective. And I think he really showed that people of different views can still love America and may show it differently, but in the end, he cared about Americans. So, I give my deepest sympathies to his family, and I thank him for his service.
And he's often remembered for being very powerful behind the scenes. Can you help us understand what made him so influential inside government? And I guess another thing that was heavily polarizing about him were his foreign policy decisions. Specifically on the war on terror, he's described as the architect of that.
Yeah, I think that is what makes him controversial. But I think, as I said, I think in the end that people, understand that happened, but at the same time recognize that he was a great American and really cared about this country. I think he was very powerful because he understood Washington. And if you don't understand Washington, people can trip you up. But knowing Washington and also having relationships with leaders on Capitol Hill, I think made him very powerful.
And speaking of understanding Washington, help us understand this government shutdown. It is set to be the longest in U.S. history, going past the 35th day. What is causing the stalemate?
Well, I've been in Washington for a long time, so I've been through these shutdowns before, but this one does feel very different. I think because we knew it was going to happen just for so many reasons, and I think the main one happens to be that the Democrats were trying to stick up for American people, especially people who are not as well off or in poverty, and this was the only way we could get attention. There's some specific things that Democrats are fighting for, and that is the ACA, the Affordable Care Act, help that is providing Americans to afford healthcare. And this is something that was put in place in 2021 and has been very popular. The Democrats have tried to fight that this needs to be continued because people are seeing their premiums skyrocket without this help. So they're fighting for the American people, and this is the way they can get attention. So it's been, like you said, it's record-making day to day, and I think that people are really feeling the impact of this shutdown, and that there are some discussions going on a bipartisan basis in the Senate, not so much in the House. So I think that there are people who really care about both issues, but until they can kind of find a compromise that can get enough votes, and in the Senate it's 60 votes, we will continue to see an impasse.
Is that the main thing that's up for debate, the Affordable Care Act, or are there other bills involved here?
Yeah. The other one is what passed in the summer, the extension of the Trump tax cuts that were made in this first term, that in order to pay for those major tax cuts that really go to the billionaires and people who make the most money in this country, they had to cut things like Medicaid, which, many Asian Americans are on Medicaid and also participate in the ACA marketplace. So it's really going to have an impact on our community. But that is another issue. But healthcare is really a big issue. So those are some of the main things, but the list is long, but those were the first couple of things that are timely that are causing this impasse.
How much of this is political? How much of this is a statement against the leadership of President Trump? Or is it just a matter of finding a comfortable compromise on the two bills that you mentioned? I mean, is it just ironing out the details here, or is this somehow, the Democrats trying to gain some leverage over the president?
Yeah, I mean, I think everything in DC is political, so this is partly political, and people, especially the Democratic leadership, do not feel like they have any leverage when the president and his staff just decide to eliminate USAID and cut employees and fire employees from the Department of Education. And just do things without any kind of consultation with Congress or any kind of abandon. They just seem to be doing things that are not normally happen in Washington, D.C. So that is part of it. But at the same time, there are true policy differences that the Democrats have with the Republicans around extending the health insurance tax subsidies and Medicaid cuts.
Of course, add to that the sweeping global tariffs debate that has been brought to the Supreme Court, right?
So the list is long. The list is long.
Yes. Here in the Philippines, to be honest, this is a new idea for us. I mean, government shutdowns don't happen because when lawmakers don't agree on the budget, what is done is that the previous budget is applied to the year, the next year. So help us understand, how does a government shutdown look like? We do know it's only the non-essential services that stop, but are there things that we're not seeing here?
Yeah, so we sort of have that plan where we call it a continuing resolution, which means that the last budget that was passed by Congress just continues. But that does require a congressional approval. And like I said, in the Senate, it requires 60 votes, which is, more than a majority. So that is where there's difficulty in doing that. So that's kind of how you get to the point of closing the government. And the federal budget goes from October 1 to September 30th. So that's the date that passed. And usually, without much discussion, there's a continuing resolution that passes. And in this case, I think that's what everyone was expecting. But as I said, it passed the House, but when it got to the Senate, there were not 60 votes in the Senate to pass that continuing resolution. So that is why we are here. And the people that are at work, they kind of changed the term from essential to exempted, because I think people thought, well, I'm essential. Why am I not at work? But so they said it accepted. So many people, many are at work, but they are not getting paid. So some of those, you hear about the TSA agents, the air traffic controllers. So these people who are accepted going to work, but are not getting paid. There are some people that are getting paid. They were able to find some money for people who are in the Defense Department, the military service. I think some people in ICE are getting paid. So some people are continuing to get paid. Social Security is, Social Security payments are being made, Medicare. So those kinds of things are continuing. But there are many, and sadly, 77% of Asian Americans are actually in the federal service, and we expect that many of them are sadly sitting at home when there's a lot of work to do and not getting paid.
And how many workers are affected here, and how about Filipino Americans? Are they present in federal agencies, and what's the concentration of Filipino American workers in government,
Yeah.
U.S. government?
I don't have the exact number of Filipino Americans. I just have, 7% are Asian American that are in the federal government. So, that's a pretty large amount.
Yes.
It also includes people that work on Capitol Hill. The members of Congress are getting paid, but their staff are not getting paid right now. And there is a law that when the government reopens, when a continuing resolution or something is passed, that the federal workers and Capitol Hill staff will get paid retroactively. However, today President Trump said that that's not guaranteed. So that is a real concern if that is
Back pay.
we don't think I don't think it's legal. I think many scholars would say it's not legal, but he did say that today, which I'm sure is causing a lot of concerns for federal workers and who are trying to just they're public servants. They've dedicated their life to serve Americans in public service, and really should not be treated that way. So I hope that when the government reopens that they will get that back pay that they
And did you say that the lawmakers still get paid?
Yes, they are getting paid, but their staff are not getting paid right now. Which
Why is that the
not
case?
fair. A law was passed that's how things
Oh my.
work here. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's the small ones that are getting affected by this shutdown. In particular, here in the Philippines, I do recall reaching out to the U.S. Embassy, and they told me that we are currently on shutdown and we can't operate. How is that affecting things there? What are the manifestations of this shutdown? And if it goes on a little longer, what can we expect to happen in terms of its impacts?
I mean, I think the thing that we saw this weekend was that food benefits, helping people who are very low income to afford food to pay for their food for their family, was not sent out on November 1. So there are people all over this country, in red states and blue states, who are not sure what to do right now. They don't have money to feed their families, so they're going to food banks and other places. So it's having a real impact, and people are talking about it, and I think that we're going to see that in other programs as well. That a lot of Asian Americans are small business owners. I'm a small business owner, and over half small businesses are owned by Asian Americans, and the small business loans are stopped right now. So people who want to open businesses or grow their businesses don't have that opportunity. So those are just some of the things that are happening with the government closed right now.
Are Filipino American healthcare workers affected also by this shutdown?
Luckily, veterans benefits, TRICARE, if they work in those government settings, they should be okay. But if the payments for Medicare and Medicaid are continuing, so for right now, I think that they're okay. But it probably just depends on where their where money comes from for their hospital or for their doctors and providers. But I think that people are feeling it in different ways, whether it's the restaurants that usually serve federal workers that come into their establishment to get food, or other services. People are feeling it, at least in Washington D.C., where we have a large number of federal workers.
In particular, are Filipino nurses and doctors doing fine? Are they still getting paid?
As far as I know, I come from a family with many nurses and doctors, so I think they're okay for now. But it really depends on where they work and where the funding comes from to pay them. But if they're private institutions, then they're probably doing okay for now.
Okay.
But things can change as things. Yeah.
It's good to understand how this seeps through to the ground, right? But on a final question, how long do you expect this impasse to go on? And the second is, how is the current political tone of the election season affecting this impasse?
I mean, I was just on Capitol Hill talking to some senators and members, and all they can say right now is that there are some discussions and there seems to be some movement. I think you reported that at the top. But even if you get an agreement out of the Senate and something passes, it still has to go to the House. And we are not sure what will happen in the House or how President Trump will feel about whatever compromise comes out. So that's really an unknown. But fingers crossed that that people with good intent in their heart will compromise and stop this closure. And I think it's just temporary. Where I think that whatever passes will only be another few months, and we'll be facing this again. So we have a lot of work to do, and hopefully we can do that. And as far as the political tone, since kind of the U.S. elections, it's been really difficult. If you look like me, or you're not, you look like someone who might have not come from this country, I feel worried that I was born in California. I'm a U.S. citizen, but I think about, if I'm stopped, what would I say? What would I do? And I know that people think about that a lot now, whether they're carrying their passports with them. But I think that as Asian Americans, we don't feel as secure as we have in the past. We are, worried about our family or friends that may encounter a situation that is not something that we would expect in our country. So we are kind of looking over our shoulders a little bit and being careful. So that's kind of where we are right now. And we worry about maybe traveling and leaving the country, and will we have trouble coming back? And so those are the kinds of things that we're thinking about.
You echo the sentiments of Filipino communities out there, but seeing you in Washington, moving around those political circles, gives us hope somehow. So hold on to your seat. Yeah, an Asian American female, and we're rooting for you out there. Maraming salamat for joining us. We have Irene Bueno of the Asian Americans Advancing Justice, giving us a temperature over at Washington, D.C.
Thank you so much.
Still in weather, Typhoon Tino has left a trail of destruction across several parts of the country, submerging cities, destroying homes, and claiming dozens of lives in its wake. Here's the report.
Typhoon Tino has unleashed massive flooding and destruction across several parts of the country. In Metro Cebu, nearly half of the city was submerged in less than 24 hours, including Villa del Rio subdivision, where people had to seek shelter on top of their roofs. When the floodwaters receded, the scene was devastating. Cars were piled on top of each other.
Sobrang takot. Hindi namin alam anong nangyari sa amin, bakit biglang rumagasan yung tubig.
Nag-pray na lang na maka-survive ba. Kaya grabe yung akyat na mo sa pader, then para maka-akyat sa ato.
In Sitio Isla Verde, Barangay San Isidro, the roofs of almost every house were blown off. Talisay City was not spared from the flooding either. Snakes were also seen emerging from the floodwaters. At Crocolandia, a nearby crocodile park, management assured the public that no reptiles had escaped, emphasizing that they have strict safety protocols during calamities. At least 51 people have been confirmed dead in Cebu following the onslaught of Typhoon Tino. The Provincial Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office reports 39 fatalities across the province, 15 in Compostela, 8 in Danao City, 9 in Mandaue City, and 7 in Talisay City. Meanwhile, Cebu City Mayor Nestor Arquival confirmed 12 additional deaths within the city. Over in Antique, the typhoon blew away roofs and caused widespread power and communication outages. In eastern Samar, homes and other structures were destroyed in the town of Giwan. Due to the extensive damage, the municipality of Giwan has been placed under a state of calamity. Nearly 8,000 families, or about 25,000 individuals, were forced to evacuate as a result of the storm.
Hindi po kami tinamaan actually ng ulan. Ang matindi sa amin was hangin. Blackout na dito sa province namin pagpasok ng bagyo. Tapos huminan rin yung cellular signal dito. I'm not sure if that's connected with the electricity line, no?
In Silago, Southern Leyte, where Typhoon Tino first made landfall, videos captured violent winds and torrential rains, toppling trees and damaging homes. The Philippine Army, local government units, barangay officials, and volunteers have since started clearing operations in affected areas. On Dinagat Island, residents of Barangay Carmen Loreto endured intense winds that ripped through homes overnight. At Liberty National High School, which served as an evacuation center, the ceiling collapsed and parts of the roof were blown away. Meanwhile, 14 families, including one infant, took shelter in a drainage canal at the height of the typhoon. They are now reported to be safe and in good condition. Clearing operations and damage assessments are ongoing in Dinagat Island following the onslaught of Typhoon Tino.
President Bongbong Marcos has assured the public that the government is closely monitoring the impact of Typhoon Tino. The president said preemptive evacuations have been carried out and the Department of Social Welfare and Development has pre-positioned food packs and relief goods. Marcos added that the Department of Energy and National Electrification Administration are working together to restore power as quickly as possible, while the Department of Public Works and Highways and other concerned agencies are conducting clearing operations.
Tutungo rin ang ilang miyembro ng gabinete sa mga pinakaapektadong probinsya upang personal na alamin ang kalagayan at tiyaking na ibabalik agad ang mga pangunahing serbisyo. Tinitiyak ng pamahalaan ang patuloy na pagkilos upang mapabilis ang pagbangon ng ating mga kababayan.
And that wraps up today's episode of Morning Matters. We hope we've given you the right start to your morning. Let's go ahead and make the day matter. My name is Gretchen Hall. Kapatid, we are One News, all sides, all the time.